D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So, finished Superman and Lois, episode 11. I have to say, I still like this show, and we got some fun stuff with this episode. We got a little bit of stuff that I was like, about. I was like, I wonder what direction this show is going to start taking. But, and we'll talk about that once we get to it. But, again, yeah, I really like this show. I really like it. I think the writing is solid. I think it's really good. There are things that I really like about it. There are things that are kind of okay, but for the most part, I really like this show. I think it's really good. I think it's just a solid show, in my opinion. It's probably the best CW show slash the best show on TV right now, in my opinion. I'm trying to think of a show that's better and everything. And maybe I should just say superhero shows, because I don't know all the shows that are out there. There might be one that's like, like a Billions or something like that. Or a Succession or something like that that's like really good, and you're all like, anyway. So listen, so so this episode was really good. I really like the two leads, Tyler Hoechlin and Elizabeth Tulloch. Is that how you say her name? I don't know. It doesn't even matter. I really like them. In this one, we got a lot of stuff from the past. So we got to see, origin story kind of. And then we also got to see, a little bit of a love story. And then we also got to see some more of Tor Row, him on Earth and everything. Kind of like an opposite Superman storyline, we got to see him, but what happened to him when he came to Earth. So why don't we go ahead and get started on this breakdown? And of course, I'll tell you my opinion of stuff when we go along. Okay, so it starts off in the Arctic. And this is Clark as a kid after he left Ma Kent. And he's in the Arctic and he's following this stone. The stone is like lighting up and it's telling him where to go. So finally, and it unglows. I don't know what the word is. I'm trying to think. It's early in the morning right now. And he's like, forget this. So he throws the rock in the snow. And then, of course, it starts to shake a little bit, and then it goes into the earth or whatnot. And he's all like, what's going on here? And then it bursts up and it creates his fortress. He gets stuck in there and he blasts himself out, but it creates his fortress of solitude, which I have to be honest with you, the fortress of solitude in this show is not that great in my opinion. I know that some people are like, they don't like the crystals and everything, but I like the Fortress of Solitude. I just think maybe it's just because I'm just so used to it. It's very classic, but I like that whole creating buildings out of crystals thing. I don't know. I just like it. So back off. So then he's here in there and he, puts the stone in and he meets his birth father for the first time. And he's all like, you're from Krypton and everything. And he tells him about his history. And then he talks about how he's like, you'll be able to, jump higher, run faster, all this stuff. So he's running through the snow and then he changes from a kid to Clark and he starts to fly. And he's like, woo, and everything, which I mean, if you could fly, you'd be woohoo too. So then he's all like, I'm going to go home now and everything. And he's all like, and then his dad says something, paraphrasing here, but he says something like, discover what it is about these humans that makes you want to be their champion. And I really liked that line because it's like, what is so great about us humans that you would want to, save us from, dying and stuff. And you would want to be Earth's champion. What makes us so great? And I really like that. It made me think. I was like, but we are pretty great. I mean, like we do a lot of really great things. I mean, we do bad things, but we do a lot of great things too. So he goes to the Kent farm. And Ma Kent's sweeping, and she's like, oh, Clark, you're back home. You left as a kid. Now you're like a friggin' adult. Like, they tried to play it up that he wasn't as old here. Like, he was like a younger version of Clark, but he's like a friggin' adult, okay? And I was all like, oh, man, you let your kid leave you for that long. That's insane. And he was in sorry, it's so early. He was in that friggin' cave for like years. I was like, oh, my goodness. Like, I mean, I get training, but whoa. And then we get a picture of him and Pa Kent and everything. And he gets his ship and everything, and he's just, reminiscing and stuff. And then he looks up the picture of Lana. I like how William Lang is next to her. I wonder who that is. I don't know who any of these people are. I looked them up because I kind of looked them up because I was like, oh, I wonder if they're in the if there's any of the people in the show as of like an adult. Anyways, doesn't matter. Anyways, so oops, I'm going back. So then he's like, I got to do something. So he goes to find Lana, and yeah, and Eric is there. He shows up and he's like, they've got an opening at the firehouse, and they're happy and everything. And Clark's all bummed because his love is gone now. She loves somebody else and they get some libation. And so he's super bummed, and his mom's like, I'm sorry, Clark, but you were gone for so long. You can't expect her to stick around. And she's right. You leave without, any say, and you can't expect somebody to stick around for you. So then Ma Cat makes him an outfit, and she's all like, what are we going to put on the front? And of course, you're going to put the S because he's Superman. So then we flip over to Metropolis. I like Metropolis here. I like the skyline. I think it looks really, really great. I can't see the planet in this picture, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, so he's walking around. He's all like, can you, do you know where this street is? Being his Clark self. I like Clark. And then he there's that green car that we saw from the first episode, and he's like, he hears it, so he's all like, what's going on? So then he saves this kid, and of course, the kid's all like, oh, wow, I love your suit. And he's all like, thanks. My mom made it for me, like that line. And I really like that a lot. This was such a great scene. This kid looks great. Everything looks great. That scene, that is from Action Comics, the cover and everything, but it looks great and everything. So then he goes back to this phone booth and changes back. And then he's like, what's happening? And the woman's like, you didn't see a man just flew out of the sky and saved a kid from a falling car. And he's like, something like, did anybody catch? He's like something about like a man flew, and she's like, yeah, she's like, somebody at the Daily Planet's got to hear about this. So he looks up at the Daily Planet, and then he's going for an interview, and he's talking to Perry White, and Perry White's like, no, and he's all like, but I was something for my school paper, and he's all like, this isn't a cherry case, kid. And so he's all like, I am a fast learner, just give me this job. And you won't regret it, kind of thing. He's like, but you got to get my dry cleaning every Thursday. He's like, done. So he's like, you'll work with Lane. And he's like, who's Lane? And she's like, who told you to wear a tie? And this is from the first episode, I believe, or whatnot. We only got like little snippets of this. And he sees her, and of course, he's in love. And she's very pretty. I think Elizabeth Tulloch. I hope I say that her name right. I get names wrong. People got crazy names. And so they're talking and everything, and they go in here, and this guy right here, I don't remember what his name was, and it doesn't even matter. I'm pretty sure he won't show up again. And he's talking about Superman. He's all, but they haven't called him Superman. And he really wants a story on the front page, kind of thing. And she's all like, ever since this guy showed up, every single story has been pushed to the back of the line and everything. And she shows him a picture, and there's some lightning bolt symbols that are like SS, and it's their Nazi symbols. And she's all like, a lot of minority businesses are being attacked. And then she says it's systemic. And I'm like, oh no, this show's going to go woke. This show's going to go identity politics. I don't want politics in this show. This show was so good before. Please do not ruin it with your nonsense. So I was like, all right, let's see how this goes forward. And so, but I was like, you know what? People do attack only minority businesses. It's a thing. But at the same time, I'm like, please don't do this to the show. Like, if you have little snippets like this in here, fine. But please don't freaking ruin my show. I'm not going to deal with it. I'm not going to do it. So then he's like, how can I help? So they go through these files, and they're trying to find this guy. They're constantly doing, this guy gets his story on the front page. Good for him. Sorry, you guys, it's super early. I need coffee, okay? But he gets his story on the front page, and I'm happy for him. I want nothing but good things for everybody. I just want everybody to be happy, because this world sucks, and we just if we can get our story on the front page, then good for you. So, anyways, and they're obviously happy, just chit chatting away and everything. They both look great and everything. I love their jacket or their coats and everything. They look great there. So then they're looking into this story and everything. Although Clark took a picture of this graffiti on this car and everything, and I'm all like, why isn't Jimmy Olsen taking a picture of this car? And I'm like, because they mention him in this, but they don't show him. And I was kind of bummed about that because I'm like, you can have cameos of other characters. I mean, you had Perry White. I don't know the actor playing Perry White. I wish they would have got somebody, special. That guy is special, but I just wish they would have. Oh no, they would have got somebody, known, because I didn't know who that was. So anyway, so they've investigated and they found out it's one of these 5 guys. That's the guy that's doing all this stuff. I think it's the guy on the far right because they didn't show him taking off his helmet, and he wears a metal mask and a trench coat and everything. So they're sitting here discussing stuff and they're talking about it. And she's like, "Thanks for all your help, Clark." And he's like, "All right, I got to go home." And she's all like, "I got a big date." And he's like, "No, just some Seinfeld reruns." Love Seinfeld. "And just some popcorn," or something like that. I can't remember exactly what she said. And he said, "I really like being here, Lois," and everything. And she's like, "Do you like it for the story or the company?" And he's like, "I feel like this is a trick question." And I really liked this banter back and forth. I really like them a lot. They're both, the actors are really good. They have great chemistry. And this is a really cute love story. And she's like, good night, Clark." And the next day, Clark goes into the office and Lois isn't there. And he's like, "Hey, does anybody know where Lois is?" And that guy that got the story on the front page, he's all like, "Oh, she got a call from somebody, or a lead or something like that. Oh, she got a call from some guy from a hardware store." And he's like, "Henry Miller?" And he's like, "Yeah." So then he listens in, and Henry Miller has got his trench coat and his mask on, and he's burning down businesses. And she's all like, "You don't have to do this." And he's like, "Yes, I do. They're taking over my city. They need to go back to where they came from." And I'm like, "No, I swear to the Jesus, if this goes woke, I'm going to be so annoyed, because the show was so good for 10 episodes. And this shit is not my cup of tea. I've had enough of it. It's in every single freaking show. I can handle small doses, but I can't do it for a whole season. Like, this isn't Batwoman, thank God." So then he points the flamethrower at her, and Superman shows up, and she's all like, he turns around, and this is the first time she gets a look at him. And that's a great shot. I'm going to use that for my thumbnail. And she's all like, and he saves her, and then he uses his breath to stop the thing. Well, then this guy throws 2 grenades at 2 different sets of people, women and their children. He's like, "Can't save both of them." And I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know who you're talking to, stupid? Of course he can save. He can stop 2 grenades. So the first grenade, he blasts it with his laser vision. And then the second one, he grabs it and it explodes and it blasts him through this window. And then Lois, I put that out of place. She zaps him and he falls to the ground. And she's something like, "Who's the hero now?" or something like that. So then he walks out and he sees this little shimmering thing. And he's all like, "Oh," he's like, "Good to meet you, Lois," and everything. And she's like, "Good to meet you." And he's all like, "I hope you get a front page," or something like that. I can't remember. And she's, of course, like, infatuated with him now. And he flies off. And then she does an interview with him. And she's sitting there and interviewing him. And this was another thing. She's like, "What do you stand for?" Oh, because she's trying to find out where he was born / where he comes from. He obviously was from Kansas and everything. And she's like, "What do you stand for?" And he's all like, "I just want to do things right." And he's like, "Truth, justice." And she's like, "And the American way." And he's like, "I think you're trying to get me to admit where I am from," kind of thing. Now, I just want to say this is also wokeism that's invading this show, which, I mean, because in the comic books they took away the American way because Superman is a citizen of the world. And I'm like, BS. He landed in America. He was taught traditional American values, and that's a part of who he is. So, I mean, and America's the best. Okay, so get out of here with that. But yeah, so her microphone goes to Fritz, and she's like, "Can we check my microphone?" And this woman pulls her side, and she's like, "He is giving you the googly eyes. Like, he loves you. Like, he's smiling at you. He's flirting, yada, yada, yada." And she's like, "Well, he's not my type. I'm in love with somebody else." And she's like, "Who?" And she's like, "Clark." And she's all like, "We've been dating for a little bit while." And of course he hears this and he's like, "What? She loves me?" And everything. And she's all like, "Yeah, he's dorky, but I love that, four-eyed little monster. And she's like, maybe one of your questions should be, do you have super hearing? Because he's obviously been listening. And she sits down. She's like, well, that was embarrassing. I'll try to keep her professional kind of thing. And he's all like, whoever this guy is, he's a lucky man. So then he takes her to meet Ma Kent. And she's like, I hope your mom likes me. And she's like, she will. And, and she's like, I want you to meet some people. And she's like, oh, just a couple members of the bridge club, some friends, the neighbors, yada, yada. And she's like, then Lois is like, I want to meet all of them. So they go in the house and she's like, why did you wait so long? And he's all like, I want to make sure I was ready. She's like, to meet me? And he's like, no, I want to tell her who I am. I want to tell her that I'm Superman. She's like, oh, Clark, I'm so happy for you. She's like, what's going on in here? And he's like, I got to show you something. And he shows her that he's Superman, that he can fly. And then here they're in the elevator and they make out after the elevator closes. He gets the ring. He pops the question in the Fortress of Solitude. They get married. They're in here. They're laying in bed. And he's all like, I never told anybody my secret because I was waiting for you. I was waiting to tell you. Yeah. And he's like, I can't wait to tell my dad about the wedding. And she's like, after the honeymoon kind of thing. And then they get it on. And then back at the Fortress of Solitude, which is ugly. I don't even see the Fortress of Solitude. I just see some cliffs and like some rocks and stuff. It's fine. It's fine. And he's all like, how was the wedding ceremony, son? And he's like, it was great, Dad. Lois was beautiful. You would have been happy. And then he's like, Clark, get out now and everything. And I was like, what's going on here? What's going on? And so he wakes up in the apartment that him and Lois share. And he's sitting there, and then she comes in and she's like, I have something. That's a weird stance. She's like, I have something to tell you. I'm pregnant. He's like, Lois, something weird happened. And she just keeps going on and on with the story, with her conversation. I was like, honey bunny, he just told you something and you aren't listening. You're not listening. Yeah, you're woman-splaining now. So then they zap over to the ultrasound and they tell them that they're carrying twins. And I was like, oh, yay. I'm a twin. I have a twin brother. So, I mean, I don't have twin kids. Thank God. I'll tell you right now, if you have kids, they're enough. One at a time is enough to handle. I got two and they're toddlers and geez, anyways, so he's all like, oh, I'm going to be a dad twice in one sitting kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that's funny. And so they're sitting there talking and he looks out the window and there's that little shimmering figure again. And she's just sitting there talking to Clark, but he's not in front of her. And he's like, this isn't real. And he goes outside and he sees Morgan Edge or Toro. And he's all like, what are you doing here? And he's like, you're going to miss the best part. And she gives birth to their babies. Oh, and they're so freaking cute. Oh, I love babies. I love kids. I mean, I love my kids, but I love babies. They're so freaking cute. Look at those little nuggets. Okay. Anyway, so he's all like, don't hurt them. And he's like, I would never hurt babies and everything, but I would hurt teenage boys. And then so he wakes up and he's got this thing on his head. And he's like, it was created by some Kryptonian guy, scientist, to navigate memories and your mind and everything. And so he's all like, Clark, I came to you as a brother, as a fellow Kryptonian. You turned your back on me. You destroyed our people, my plan, everything. For what? And then Jor-El shows up. Hold on, because there's a lot of talky. Jor-El shows up and he's all like, don't listen to him, son, kind of thing. I don't remember and everything. But Clark is all like, I'm not going to join you. I'm not going to do it. And so he destroys the crystal that has the father's memory in it. I really wish they wouldn't have done that either. I'm kind of bummed that they did that. But what are you going to do? I have a feeling that we're going to get Laura L in there to replace Daddy L, because you can't have a dad figure in there. So they destroy that and then they get into a big fight. I didn't get any screen caps of it because it was like whatever and everything. And then he starts punching him. He's like, please don't hurt them, kind of thing. Knocks him out. And then back at the their house, I don't know their last name. Gosh, it's been like 11 episodes and I have not memorized their names, because you want to know why? I don't care about them. So she's all like, how is Elizabeth? And she's all like, she's a little groggy, but she's going to be okay. We're not telling them that they were taken over by Kryptonian, minds or whatever. Life forces. And it's not the right word. I can't think of it off the top of my head. And he's all like, yeah, it's worse than 6 shooters at the bar or whatever. And I'm like, who calls shots shooters? Okay. Or whatever. I don't know if he said shooters. He might've said shots, but so then these guys are all talking, and Sarah's all like, I didn't know what was going on, and Jordan's all like, Jonathan's all like, yeah, it must have been really hard for you to deal with that kind of stuff, and Jordan's all like, yeah, I'm really sorry and everything that I had to keep it from you, and she kisses him. So they're all a couple now, which I'm happy about that because, like, yeah. So they leave, and Eric apologizes. He's like, I'm sorry for being such a jerk to you. So they go back to the camp farm, and she's all like, oh, you guys are official couple now, huh? And everything. And they're like, oh, good for you, kind of thing. And then Morgan Edge shows up, and he's like, Uncle Edge is here and everything. And she's all like, get away from my family. And he's like, where's Clark? And he's all like, oh, he's out for a while and everything. So it's time to murder you. It's time to murder you guys. And he's all like, everything was fine until you showed up. You ruined him, kind of thing. Like, he was ready. He was primed and ready to go to take over this planet. And then he met you. And then Jordan steps up. Good for you, Jordan. Like, I've always thought Jordan was a total pussy this whole show, but good for Jordan stepping up. He's all like, get away from my family. And I was like, yeah. I was like, show him that you can, it's time to party. Unfortunately, Jordan's not ready. So he gets all laser eyes, and Morgan Edge is obviously, better at it than him because he's had time, and he blasts him, which I felt bad for Jordan because I was like, man, yeah, Jordan, step up and everything. But he gets blasted, and they're like, Jordan, are you okay? Kind of thing. And she's like, please don't hurt my family. He's like, and then that's when he's all like, you ruined him. It's all because of you. And she's like, I think she says something along the lines of, fine, you can hurt me, but don't hurt my kids, kind of thing. And then Superman shows up, and he's obviously weak. And and before I forgot to mention this, he's like, submit. And he's like, I'm not going to submit. And he's like, then I'm going to take away everything you love. He's like, I submit to you. He's like, just don't hurt my family. And then he's like, family, say goodbye to him because this is the last time you're going to see your father. And so he turns around. He's like, he was right. And he's like, I love you, kind of thing. And then they go off to the desert. And he's like, where are we? And he's like, because before he was like, you made your house in the snow and I made mine in the desert because I like the sun on my face, kind of thing. And he's like, where are we? And he's like, home. And then we see him as a young kid, and he's doing the same thing that Clark did. And he throws out his crystal, and it creates his Fortress of Solitude. Also ugly. The Fortress of Solitude. Was Krypton an ugly? I've always thought Krypton was ugly. Like, I haven't seen, well, Smallville did an all right job of it, but like the original movie, I was like, oh, it's just a snow planet. And then and animated does it good too. But like in live action, Smallville, I think, is the only one that's done it that I liked. Anyway, so he puts in his crystal, and his dad shows up, and man, Laura L, she did good by getting out of this marriage, because this ugly piece of shit is man, I wouldn't want to marry him either. Like, I was like, oh, I had a child with you. Gross. So oh man, look how ugly he is. He's all gross. And so he's all like, good job, my son. He's all like, did you find the Eradicator? And he's like, not yet, father, but I will, and everything. And he's all like, but first we have to purge the weakness out of you and everything. He's like, to do that, you have to do it through pain or whatever. And he's like, father, what are you talking about? And then he blasts him with this little thingy, and he's obviously hurting him. He's like purging the weakness and everything. Yeah, I don't get that whole process, but whatever. Maybe it's the Kryptonian thing. So then they land. He's there, and he's like, I have him, father. And he's like, you don't have to do this. And he's like, oh, that's the weakness of Jor-El talking. Jor-El, the worst of us Kryptonians. And I'm all like, was he really? Like, he knew that the planet was going to explode and nobody listened, and he's the worst one. So anyways, so he's all like, you're gonna learn. We're gonna purge the weakness out of you. And then he's like, I have the Eradicator one. Now, this guy's so ugly. I mean, no offense to the actor, but man, Laura L, you dodged a bullet for sure. Ugh. Imagine that on top of you. Gross. Anyways, so then they go into the house, and then they put the Eradicator in the thing. So now my thing, what I'm thinking is they have the Eradicator now, and it'll create these holograms like we get with like Jor-El and stuff. Maybe, I'm not sure. So maybe that's why it makes me think that Laura L is going to take over for Jor-El now at the Fortress of Solitude. They're going to somehow create a crystal, and Laura L's being is going to be put into that. And maybe they'll do the whole Kryptonians thing again and everything. But anyway, so she goes, and then he's being blasted with this thing. I'm not sure what this ray is doing to him. Well, I mean, I'm sure. And she calls up Irons, Henry John Irons. She's like, "You were right. It's happening. He's no longer my husband. He's no longer Superman. It's all happening the way you said it was." And then we get this shot, and he's bad Superman now. So I'm all like, why didn't Morgan Edge do that in the first place? Be like, brother, come here and everything. I need to talk to you. Because he had the Eradicator before, but he was trying to put people in there. And if you could do that with this little red beam, well, why don't you just do that before, kind of thing? I'm like, okay, whatever. So now he's bad Superman now. Or at least maybe he is. I don't know. But I just have to say, so this show is still good, but like I don't want identity politics in my show. I don't want it. I don't like it. It wastes time. It's not good. It usually ends up not being good writing. I mean, go watch Batwoman. That show sucks, and that show is identity politics up and down. It is nothing but preachy. And so I don't want that in this show, because this show is so good right now that if they start doing it, I'm going to bail. I'm just going to bail. I don't have time for that crap. I don't have time to be wasting on it. But anyways, this episode was good. I wish there was more fighting in this season. Like, I understand budget wise, but take out a bunch of stuff. Like, don't put so much digital stuff in there, and just have two people in a room talking for most of the episode, and then just one big fight scene. That's all I need. Just one big fight scene. Or don't have an episode with a fight scene in it, or Superman flying, and then save that for the last episode. Just a big fighty fight, because I would love that. But again, I like this season still. I like the show still. It's still good. I can't wait for the next episode, which I'll cover. And yeah, so tell me, what did you guys think about this episode? Did you think, like me, it had, it's starting to maybe get some reminiscence of some identity politics in it? And do you like that sort of thing? Or do you wish they wouldn't do that kind of thing? Like, don't ruin my show with that nonsense? Or are you one of those people like, yeah, no, this is a platform that you need to do it on? Who's your favorite character? What'd you feel about this? How do you feel about Morgan Edge's, Toro's origin story kind of thing in this episode? Are you bummed that Jor-El is gone? Do you agree with me that Laura L is probably going to take over in the Fortress of Solitude? Go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit the like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. I will see you guys on the next Superman and Lois breakdown. You guys have a good day. Bye.